Hey, what's up YouTube, XX the Panzer XX here, and I was supposed to be doing another Axis and Allies battle, but I'm not going to be able to do that as quickly as I had expected to, so in the meantime I figured I would do a new top 5 review for my Axis and my Allies forces. Over time I've got new units for both sides and played more games, so obviously I'm going to have some new favorites. Alright, we'll start off with the Allies. My number 5 for the Allies would have to be my British Humber Scout Car. This is an excellent infantry support unit, and it's great for striking against enemy infantry because it has the Strike and Fade 2, which means I can move two hexes after I attack, which means I can basically run up, hit the enemy lines, and then retreat without getting shot at. And it's a really cheap unit to deploy, and it's pretty good against the infantry. Alright, number 4 for the Allies would have to be the Russian T-70. I love this tank. It's a cheap tank to deploy, it's pretty fast, and it has a decent amount of power. So I usually use this tank to support my flanks and to support infantry, or if needed, to support armor. And it's a really good tank. Oh shit. Number 3 for the Axis would have to be the I think it's the Su-20. I'm not for sure, but this is an excellent tank destroyer. It's not as powerful as the German Jagdpanther, but then again, it's not the same amount of point cost, so it's a cheaper to deploy tank destroyer, but it's still pretty powerful and has pretty good defense. I love using this, supported by infantry or supported by lighter tanks. Number 2 for the Allies would have to be my Russian KV-1. This is an excellent tank. It has really good defense. It doesn't have that great of attack. I think it has the same attack as the T-34, but against Axis medium tanks, it's going to win because even though it has the same attack, it has a lot higher armor. Its defense can stand up to the heavier Axis tanks, but its gun would have a lot harder time destroying them than it would medium tanks. Then my number 1 favorite for the Allies is the M5A1 Stuart tank. It's not a very powerful tank, but it's very, very useful. You can get a bunch of these, deploy them for cheap costs, and they're really, really fast. They're not very powerful, as I said, but in larger numbers they could take out a lot of tanks, and they could support infantry or defend or attack flanks. So I love that tank. Alright, now let's go to the Axis. Alright, my number 5 would have to be the SS Hauptsturmführer. I like this unit because, well, he's not very expensive to deploy, and he doesn't have a lot of attack, but he gives you +3 to initiative, which is more than most officers do. Most of them give you 2, and I've seen some that gives you 1. He gives you 3. And he also has an ability, I forget what it is, but he encourages the allied infantry in hexes adjacent to him. I think they give him more attack. I'm not for sure. I don't have the card with me, but he bolsters them pretty good, so I like him. Number 4 for the Axis is my SD-KFZ 231 armored car. I didn't think too much of this unit when I first got it, but it's a really, really good unit. It has the Strike and Fade 2, just like the Humber Scout Car, but I think it has a little bit better armor and a little bit better attack than the Humber Scout Car. This thing can also destroy light tanks with a good attack roll. And it has pretty good defense. I love using it to support infantry or striking infantry on its own. Number 3 for the Axis is my Ju-87B Junker Stuka. This is the early wars Junker Stuka, so it's not as powerful as the later Junker, but I still love utilizing its air power. In my forces, this is the only airplane, so you know, when my buddies play with my stuff and we battle each other, I have air superiority. And even if they have airplanes too, this is still a good unit. It's great for attacking anti-tank guns and infantry, and decent attacking maybe medium and light tanks. So you know, if I see a lot of light tanks and stuff, I'll just use this to try to weaken their numbers a little bit, because the Allies have two advantages. Even though they're not as strong and don't have as much defense, they can deploy a lot more units. So if you lighten up their ranks, you can really do some damage to them. Number 2 would have to be my Jagdpanther. I love this unit. It's a new unit. I haven't used it much, but it has the gun of a King Tiger. It's a little bit bent there. I'm gonna have to, as my friend Dalian Francis 60 says, you know, just get some hot water if the turrets are bent, and put them in that. And he has just a little bit worse defense than the Tiger, but he's half the deployment cost as the Tiger. He's 39 points. So you're paying 39 points to get the gun of a King Tiger and the defense of a Tiger, which I think is a great deal. The only downside to it really is that it has no turret, so it can only shoot things in front of it. But if you deploy this with infantry or lighter tanks, it makes up for it. My favorite piece would be Tiger 1. I prefer this over at least my King Tiger. As I said, I have a different King Tiger than comes in most sets. I forget what sets Dalian Francis 60 said mine was from, but it's a different set than most King Tigers. It's size too small, and the card on it has it for 72 or 74 points, which is more expensive than the other King Tigers. So I think that may be a factory error. I'm not sure, but compared to my King Tiger, I much prefer using the Tiger 1, because for my King Tiger, I think that the deployment cost is just too much for the little bit of differences between the Tiger 1 and the King Tiger. But if it's a factory error, that means it's worth a lot more, so I'll have to research that a little bit. This is probably the most useful German tank that there is, and I love using it. I chose this one over my Veteran Tiger that I have, because with the Veteran Tiger, you do get crack shot, which is really, really good, but the difference in deployment cost, I just would prefer to use a regular Tiger. Okay, so that's my top 5 for the Axis, and my top 5 for the Allies. This may change soon. I might get some more units soon. Maybe more battles will make it change. So tell me what you think. Compare some videos. Compare your units if you want. Send me videos and pics. Comment and subscribe. And until next time, XX Panzer XX out.